You mean it's another Monday? It is, isn't it? It's Monday, March 16th, 2015. Another edition of Weber This Week. And today a show that I'm calling, and you'll understand why, The Beauty and the Beast. The beauty is on the couch. The beast is talking to you right now. Jessica Lahr, Mrs. New York America for 2015, is my special guest for the entire show this morning as we talk about her career and her ambitions, her background, etc., etc. And we welcome you on a Monday. Hope you all had a good weekend. Enjoy today, folks, because it's talking like 52. Then we're going to smooth back into the 30s and the high 20s for the next 6 or 7 days. No major storms, thank God, but it's going to be kind of bad, kind of cold. So, hey, NCAA's March Madness, we'll talk about that during our break. We'll also pay homage to the Minders girls and that Zacatec Lions as they continue to propel their way to a potential state championship as they will be playing this coming week. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about some other sports topics. But without further ado, we welcome in Jessica Lahr. Jessica, thanks a lot for coming in, and I appreciate you taking time out.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and just for the record, Jessica was scheduled to be on this show about a month ago, but I came down with the, Hawaiian Montezuma revenge, whatever I came down with. I called her, and I was desperate to say to her that there's no way I could make it to the studio on Monday. I was bedridden, pretty bad, but that flu gets around, and sometimes it really affects you.
Yes.
And it affected me, so it's great to have you rescheduled.
Yes.
And certainly, I like the sash look, and maybe we'll get you to put on the crown, too, a little bit later. Let's talk about yourself. First off, your personal background, where you went to school. Give us your school background, and I know you're married. Talk about your family a little bit, and how you got involved in this pageant stuff.
Yeah, well, I was born in Geneva.
All right.
I live in Geneva now, but I was actually raised in the small, beautiful town of Prattsburg, New York, and went to Prattsburg Central School, graduated from there, and then met my husband soon after. We've been married for 9 years now, and he's from Geneva, born and raised.
Okay.
And yeah, we have 2 little boys now, and businesses, and we're crazy busy, but the pageant kind of came at an interesting time, and I was a little bit hesitant and nervous because of our busy, crazy lives, and
right.
I'd never even seen a pageant before, so I really didn't know what I was doing. But I thought about it, prayed about it for about 3 months, and it was meant to be. I did it, and I can't believe.
And you won.
Here we are. Yes.
Now, you've never participated when you were a child.
No.
Any of that stuff, huh?
No, I had the childhood dream of modeling and acting.
Okay.
But I'd never really pursued it, and I had gone through this time, having babies, and I've lost 70 pounds, and then I started a modeling career, and so now I do a little bit of commercial acting, modeling, fashion modeling. But the pageant came through contacts in the modeling industry, and then that's just where it just snowballed into this amazing thing.
Now tell us about how much work had to go into this, and where was it staged, and tell us about the build-up to getting there, and as far as tell us what you had to do to perform in front of the judges to impress them.
Oh, well, leading up to the pageant, I was really trying to, find local sponsors to kind of back me.
Sure.
And I did. I had a lot of people just step up and help, and I'm so grateful. It was just really neat to see people come together and,
Sure.
and support me. And, I wanted to be able to pay it forward to an organization that helped my husband and I when our son was sick. So I knew that this would give me the platform to give back to the Ronald McDonald House of Rochester. And it's done just that. The pageant itself is based, they score you on swimsuit, interview, and gown. And I've lost 70 pounds. So getting on stage in a swimsuit it wasn't the highlight, but it was really beautiful to see the women, we're all married women.
Right.
Most of us have had babies and been through these
Sure.
physical changes, and we all cheered each other on, and it was just such a neat experience.
No talent is part of this
No.
criteria?
So
you didn't have to come out and play the piano? Nothing like that? Nothing like that?
I didn't. And I think because we're married women, juggling everything, that's our talent.
I can imagine. And looking at the bio and all the information you sent me to review, this Mrs. New York has been going on for some 40 years.
Yeah, nearly 40 years now. And I love it. I was, like I said, a little skeptical and didn't really know what to think of pageants. And I was so I'm so happy to say that it's been one of the most amazing experiences of my life, and I've met so many remarkable people, and I'm excited for Mrs. America.
Now, there's been discussion with different pageants that some of the ladies get catty once in a while,
Yes.
and there's a little animosity between some of them.
Yeah.
Any of that stuff that you could see in your pageant that you were, or are they all pretty professional?
You know, luckily, and I can't speak for any other pageants, but it was just incredible. We all stood behind each other. You know, even leading up to the pageant, we had met. You know, quite a few of us had met. You know, doing different appearances together.
Sure.
And you know, we're moms, and we become sisters. I call them my pageant sisters, and they're happy for me, and I want to do as best of a job as I can. You know, because I'm the one that was crowned, and you know, just encourage them to come back, and it's been a really surprising and great experience.
Jessica Lahr is my special guest. We're calling the show The Beauty and the Beast, and you can tell why if you have two good eyes. Not only two, but how about one? She, of course, is the reigning Mrs. New York. Certainly, you know, as I look at this, when you went to the pageant, do they count down, or do they bring down the number of participants, like sliding scale, to the
Yes.
final four? Is that the way it works?
Yes, it's I think we had a top 6.
Okay.
It was top 6.
Top 6.
I was called first. I mean, it's in random order, but I was called first, so that was, you know, I was relieved right away. So I was lucky to have that. And then I had to answer. You have an onstage question, and so I was the first to answer the onstage question, and then it just goes from there, and you get judged on that too. That's
And
kind
where
of
was the pageant held at?
It was actually in Henrietta.
Henrietta.
So that was really convenient for
Sure.
a handful of us, because we're, you know, local upstate New York girls, and
Mm-hmm.
there were a few fabulous ladies that came, you know, up from the city and, you know, downstate, but it was in Henrietta, and I loved it. I loved that it was local, and it was great for my sponsors too, because, you know, they were in the program. And
Now, as far as expensive, we'll talk about you bringing out the message to get support. I know you got things coming up this year. As far as expenses to participate in this, did it cost a lot to prepare for this and get the necessary registration fees, et cetera, et cetera?
Luckily I found sponsors.
Okay.
So it wasn't, I didn't have to come out of pocket.
Sure.
You know, and some people do, some women do, they just come out of pocket, but it wasn't as much as I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
So that was good. I just found a lot of local businesses that were willing to donate, you know, whether it was $50 to,
Sure.
you know, $250 for Mrs. New York America. And right now I'm hoping to find some large sponsors for Mrs. America.
I will talk about that too, because the site is kind of interesting. We talked about that before going on the air. The potential site, maybe it'll get changed.
Yes.
It might shock you as well. Jessica Lahr is our special guest this morning, and we certainly hope that you're enjoying the show so far. And without further ado, we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll chatter about a couple of sports topics, and then we'll go back to Jessica and continue our show here on a Monday. Welcome to Weber This Week. Cayuga Lake National Bank. Bill Ryan and his team for all of your banking needs. Offices in Union Springs and Aurora. A fine sponsor of this show for over 30 years. DA Liquors, Seneca Falls. Amy Padula and her great team will find that right spirit for you every time. Tell Amy the dog sent you. Steve Wadhams, Wadhams Enterprises, your employer of choice. Proud supporter of this show and local athletics. Bob and Leslie Oman, owners of the Oman Theater, in Lions as well as the Newark Pilots, a minor league baseball team with a major league ballpark. SenecaFallsCountryClub.com, awesome 18-hole layout, offering a 12-month payment plan. Wilson Press, WPress.com, Seneca Falls. Rich Ricky, my good friend, and his team can handle all of your printing and mailing needs. Well, we welcome you back. It's the Dog with you on a good old Monday, the 16th of March. Hope you're all having a good day. All psyched for March Madness as the seedings were announced yesterday. No big surprise. Kentucky overall seeded number 1. We'll talk about that in a second. Before I get back to Jessica Lahr, we certainly want to give you our opinions and talk a little bit about the world of sports. First off, to Jerry Anderson, our good friend, and the Miners Academy girls, where I graduated from, where Jimmy graduated from. I'm not so sure we can come up with the adjectives to describe what a sensational year the Miners Academy girls had. What a fantastic run. To Jerry and all of those girls, I didn't mention everyone's name because I was afraid I was going to leave somebody off. So to all of you that represented the Miners Academy girls program, Jimmy, I think you would echo my sentiments. What a fabulous year. Amazing year for the girls. They are to be congratulated.
Yeah, it's. I mean, this is their back-to-back sectional titles, and
phenomenal.
They play in a really tough league. So during the course of the year, you kind of feel like they get beat down a little bit, and maybe they're not as good as they really are because they're playing against bigger schools.
Right.
But I think what Jerry Anderson's done is kind of changed the whole attitude of everybody on the team and the program and younger girls coming up. I brought my 9-year-old daughter Jackie to games this year, and she gets to see how hard those girls play, and I think she kind of dreams about. Maybe in a few years, maybe she can play for Coach Anderson. So
yeah, that's great.
So he's done a great job.
Well, anyone who's watching my show this morning, please, if you see a Miners Academy girl walking the streets or in a diner or restaurant, please get up and shake their hand. They had a fabulous year along with the head coach.
And Doug, we've had two of the Lady Blue Devils up here this winter. We had Maddie Hillmeyer on this show, and then Cassidy Rattray and Coach Anderson came on for the Upstate Hoops podcast.
Right.
And
exactly.
And so, it's great to see them, win that title, have so much success. They were one of only 2 local teams still, playing as of this weekend.
Another local team, where I was born, Lyons, New York, Zach Young. Every time I send Zach an email congratulating him on the next game coming up, he says, "Dog, I'm a little bit nervous." Hey, Zach, you made it to the finals, baby. You had in Albany. What an outstanding achievement for Zach and the Lions. Albany, New York, 1:30 this Friday.
Glens Falls.
I'm sorry, Glens Falls, 1:30 this Friday against Waterville. And we just wish Lions in that continuing streak keep it going, led by Damon Hunter, a fantastic player in his own right.
Yeah, they're unbelievable. It's not, Damon Hunter's on a historic run. He scored 30 points every single postseason game.
Just scary.
And that's not even counting. Normally, almost every game he's up there around 8-9 rebounds, 8-9 assists. And, it's not only him, it's the rest of the team. One of my favorite players is Nick Farah. He's always guarding guys that are 3-4 inches taller than him and holding his own, grabbing rebounds, playing great defense.
Right.
Chris, the big teddy bear PA, is they're having a lot of success for him. They got a sophomore, Darren Carswell, who's maybe their best defender, and they got 2 shooters, DeAndre McDonald and Adam Van Buskirk, who are just, if one of them's not on, the other one is. So somebody's making a 3. And then Jordan Amel, big man in the middle, coming off the bench for PA's, played great. Zach Wonders, a good sub at guard that they use when other teams pressure them. And just watching these guys consistently beat teams that they're probably not favored against week after week.
It's great.
It's been phenomenal. And then Zach does a really good job,
he does.
Obviously.
That's right. Keep it going, Lions. We'll be pulling for you on Friday, 1:30 against Waterville at Glens Falls. By the way, congrats to Ali Marpet, young man from Hobart, hometown of where Jessica lives, as well as my daughter. They had pro day at Hobart. Very rare. They would focus on Division III for potential draftee. But Ali Marpet, offensive lineman, 6'4", 307 pounds. He must like his Big Macs. Just kidding. But Ali, phenomenal. Hope it works for you. You're certainly a great local story, and we want to turn you into a national story. So I got a hunch that maybe the NFL will draft this young man. So Ali Marpet, from all of us here at Weber This Week in Finger Lakes One, we wish him nothing but the best. Speaking of basketball and speaking of sports, how about March Madness? It's finally been drafted. The 68 teams are ready to rock and roll. Play gets underway with a play-in game tomorrow night. Hey, folks, I've looked at this 17 different ways. Kentucky, a landslide favorite to win it all, trying to do something that hasn't happened since 1976 with Indiana. Go all the way, undefeated. I'm not so sure they won't do it. I don't know. I thought about it coming in for this show this morning. I don't know who's going to beat them. I don't know how you can muster up a defense or an offense to beat Kentucky. My rationale for it is very simple. Jimmy watches basketball. So do I. I think Jessica doesn't. I think she's into cooking shows, but I don't think she's a big sports fan. Am I correct?
Yes,
I am
you're
correct.
correct.
Okay, good. But one thing about Kentucky that dazzles me, and I've been following sports since I was 6, and that's like 64 years. The thing that really stands out for me on Kentucky and Calipari, you watch major college programs, the Notre Dames, the Villanovas, you name it, okay, the USCs, the Arizonas. Every few minutes you'll see a couple kids going to the scorer's table to take subs. Okay? You see 2 or 3 come in once in a while on these major programs. What separates Kentucky, folks, is not for punishment reasons. I understand when Jim gets upset with his team, he'll take off 5 out and bring in 5 that aren't as good. That sends a message to the first 5. What separates Kentucky, in my view, and you better understand it, you have to agree, when you play Kentucky 6 minutes into the game, there's not 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 kids at the scorer's table. What are they doing? They're bringing in 5 just as good as the first 5. Who can compete with that? They got height, they got speed, they got defense. I don't know, folks. Can they lose? Yeah. Las Vegas doesn't think so. They are set as an even bet in Las Vegas where you can gamble legally. So that means you got to put up $550 to win $500 on an even bet. The bookie always makes some money on these deals. My point is, could they lose? Yes. Could it happen? Yes. Will it happen? I'm not so sure, because I just don't figure out how you're going to beat a team that brings in 5 kids who could play for any other major college program in this country.
That's why they call it March Madness. Anybody can lose one
amazing.
game. Now, nobody would beat Kentucky if it was a 5-game series, but one game,
I agree.
Anything can happen.
I
saw
agree.
Villanova beat Georgetown, even though that's not as big an upset as people think. But
Pretty
even
amazing.
back when Duke beat an undefeated UNLV team in the finals in 1991, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, Kentucky's had great teams
Oh,
all along.
God.
They don't win every year.
I know. It's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
But I tell you what, usually watching the selection show, it's very exciting because
Yeah.
you're going to see who Syracuse plays.
Yeah, I know.
And even years when they have
I
been
know.
snubbed and maybe not make it, you'll watch it thinking their name's
Might
going
get
to be
me.
called.
Yeah.
Just once, when I was a sophomore, or maybe it was June. No, it was
Yep.
my sophomore year
Right.
that they were on probation, and so there were 2 times I've watched
I
that
know.
selection
Sad.
show without knowing their name wouldn't be called. And
That's too bad.
It's not the same.
Hey, by
the
the
other
way,
thing,
yeah, go
Doug,
ahead.
real quick, is I used to also have a rooting interest. I'd root for Big East teams.
Yeah, I know. No, it does the same.
I'd want them to see how far they could go, have more Big East teams than ACC teams, and now that's even gone.
not
So
the
it's
same.
just, and I'm just going to get in as many pools as I can. I think.
Hey, by the way, congrats to the University of Buffalo. Yes, University of Buffalo, first time ever in the big dance. So good old Buffalo makes it in. And by the way, to my wife Mary and even myself, and to all of you fans that watch soap operas, believe it or not, Jessica, you'll find something about the dog you never knew. I am a soap opera guy. I watch The Young and Restless, and I watch The Bold and Beautiful
Oh my God.
for like 20-some years. Believe it or not, when I'm not home, we tape them. My wife has watched The Young and Restless and The Bold and Beautiful for 40 years. I have watched both of those shows for 25. They're not on Thursday and Friday. CBS has coverage. They're blacked out because NCAA takes priority. So, folks, all you soap opera fans that check out Victor Newman and The Young and Restless and all those cats, no Thursday and Friday Young and Restless or Bold and Beautiful. So get over it. Take a pill, because my wife's not happy about it.
I used to watch Santa Barbara.
I watched Young and Restless for 25
like,
years.
A long time ago,
We
Santa Barbara.
tape it every day. Every day. Oh, yeah. So just to make sure, don't get screwed around. And by the way, before we get back to Jessica, shout out to my good friend Mike Cotillo and the likes of Greg McNall and my other buddy up there, Alan Brigno. I was reading through the Finger Lakes Times yesterday, the Sunday edition, and I asked these gentlemen, would you put Jim Senecrobi's picture on the sports section where you waste print page to show us the Grapefruit League standings? Does anybody in this world care about the Grapefruit standings? Jimmy, they got Will Ferrell playing baseball.
Yeah, minor league baseball.
Oh, my God.
Spring training.
Come on. Do I care who's leading the spring training baseball circuit?
You
I'd
must-
rather see a picture of you.
Yeah, well, maybe a lot of people would.
So if Greg McNall or Mike Cotillo or Alan Brigner are checking out the dog this morning, please, nobody cares. Absolutely nobody cares about the Grapefruit standings. I saw that yesterday, and I probably have not seen it before, Jimmy. But it
I
just
don't know.
it caught my
Some
attention.
people are really
come
excited
on.
for baseball.
To watch spring training when they have 80-year-old guys in there
Well, I
swinging
was
at a
flicking
pitch.
through this weekend. I saw Yankees preseason, Mets preseason, kept going. It's nice to see baseball now in the winter. You see that we're getting close to spring, but
Okay, all
we
right.
got a 162 game regular season coming. So
Well, let's flip it back to the beauty part of the show. Jessica, thanks for being patient. There was a lot to talk about with March Madness. So you never been into sports, huh? Never was into it, huh?
not
Does your husband
really.
follow sports?
A little bit. Yeah, I mean, he knows.
Does he got a
knows
favorite
sports.
sport? Does he like
Yeah,
basketball or
football.
football?
Football, yeah. And
Okay.
I grew up in Prattsburg, so basketball is a good,
Oh, yeah.
it's
Right.
They
Big
also
school
won a
for us with
sectional
us.
title,
I know.
Prattsburg.
I'm wearing green, not just for St. Patty's Day. Go Vikings.
That's right.
They won sectionals, the boys and girls.
And speaking of St. Patrick's Day, be careful about, don't get too drunk and just be cool. Get a designated driver. I know a lot of you like to go out and celebrate, so be careful about that. Let's talk about, you come off, you're reigning Mrs. New York.
Yes.
And certainly for 2015. Now you prepare for eventually in September, another big one is scheduled. And tell our viewers where that's right now scheduled for.
Well, Mrs. America is going to be in Sevastopol, Russia this year.
Russia.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. 25 years ago, they invited us to do our pageant with them, and so we're doing that. We're going back and
Russia.
Yeah. So the Mrs. Russia pageant and the Mrs. America pageant will be.
So you're trying to tell me you and the husband and the kids took a 45-minute drive to Rush Henrietta, and now it's what, 48,000 miles one way to Russia?
Yeah. Something like that.
That's a long trip.
Oh, no matter where it is, it's going to be an experience of a lifetime.
So what you're telling me is they don't have the $200 Southwest airline ticket direct flight? No,
I
okay. Well, that's unique. That's a unique location. Somebody really must have thought about that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I think getting involved in, something like this, you never know what type of, opportunities are going to present themselves, in the future once you go down that road. Yeah. What did your husband say when you first told him, hey, I'm thinking of entering a beauty pageant?
Well, like me, I think we were both, I had to think about it, And he was very, supportive. If he thought, if this is what you want to do, I'll support you. Yeah. But, he probably wasn't too surprised. I've been modeling for a few years, it's just kind of a different avenue of the beauty industry, I guess.
And now when you won, you can say, hey, to his friends, you can say, hey, guess who my wife is?
You know what? He has.
Yeah. I bet he has.
He was getting picked on last week. He told someone he worked with, my wife is Mrs. New York. So they were calling him Mr. New York.
Not the first, not the first lady, but the first husband.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
That's a great trump card, though. Hey,
Yeah.
How are things funny at home? Well, I live with Mrs. New York.
Yeah,
pretty impressive.
I'll tell him you said that.
I will. I certainly. Hopefully, he'll check out the show. Yeah. All right, let's talk about sponsorships. You had mentioned about always looking for support as you embark on the next journey. Tell our viewers that are watching, if they want to donate to the cause, how do they do this? Yeah,
I'm looking for sponsors right now. Okay. There are expenses that come with Mrs. America.
Sure.
So if they would like to sponsor me, they can email me at jesslahr11@gmail.com. That's L-A-H-R, so JESSLAHR11@gmail.com. Okay. Or look us up on Facebook. It's the Mrs. New York America Pageant is the name of the page. Or our website is mrsnewyorkamerica.com, and that's just NY. So, yeah, look us up. I'm looking for a sponsorship, and I've had an amazing amount of people that, helped me get to Mrs. New York, and obviously it was a success. So I'm hopeful for Mrs. America.
Well, I think so, too. And, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you a concern of mine relative to a lot of shows that have documented this, where parents take young children and want them to blossom and become pageant winners. Yeah. Some of the pressures and some of the scrutiny put on these young children. Do you have a view on that? Is it something that you have a real thought process in regards to the ill effects of sometimes doing something like that and not letting the child emerge the way they want to be?
Yeah, I think with anything, whether it's sports or pageants or modeling or dancing or whatever it may be, you should let your kids do what they are drawn to. And if, I know a little girl who loves doing pageants, and she's a little dancer, and she's so sweet, and she loves it. And I think if they love it, then encourage them to do it. What I've seen with pageantry now, in the short amount of time I've been a pageant girl, is that in young children, it's really teaching them to be confident. They're put in situations where, they answer questions, and, it keeps them on their toes. It's helping them to grow and feel comfortable in their own skin. And pageantry, from what I have seen, is about being, a wholesome. And, you know, it's not, I haven't seen too much pressure, but, you know, I'm still new to the industry, I guess.
Well, you're not only new to it, you've attempted one time and became the winner.
Yeah.
I mean, what are the odds of that?
I guess.
Pretty impressive odds.
Crazy.
It is pretty crazy. You know, that's like picking Kentucky to win the NCAA basketball championships. You know, not that they're, like Jim says, not that they're an all-time lock. Well, certainly, you know, again, you have got into this, you thought about it, you entered it, you went through the trials and tribulations. I'm sure you had a lot of sleepless nights before the pageant. And, but certainly, do you recall when you were asked the question on stage, what the question was?
Yes.
What was it?
What would you do if you were to be named Mrs. New York America?
And your answer was?
That I would use the title to bring a brighter light to my charity and my platform, which is the Ronald McDonald House, because that's the purpose of this, is to really pay it forward and give back to an organization that helped my husband and I when our son was very ill, and to help find the next Mrs. New York America. So right now I'm doing both. I'm helping and volunteering and raising funds for the Ronald McDonald House. 20% of all my sponsorship money goes to them directly. And I'm helping our director, who is a former Mrs. World, Diane Hardgrove. She is recruiting, and I'm helping, you know, send beautiful, sweet, smart women her way, married women her way.
That's pretty impressive. I never realized, reading all the bio information you sent me, that this had been going on for 4 decades.
Yes, yeah, I know. I had never even known that there was a married women's pageant, but it was really special. It was just a special experience. And just to see that women are being celebrated after they get married, and they're making such an impact on their communities and a positive impact in the world. So it's been really, really special. It's just been a remarkable experience.
You mentioned earlier that you and your husband are involved in a couple of businesses. Explain what those businesses are for our viewers.
Yeah, well, I like how you said the Beauty and the Beast, because...
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah. You're the beauty part of the show, by the way. Okay, go ahead.
Thanks.
Okay.
One of our companies, we created a 5K obstacle run through vineyards, and it's called Vino and the Beasts. And it's fun. It's a 5K obstacle run through vineyards. We have one in Three Brothers Winery, and we're in Ohio and Connecticut as well, and Millbrook, New York. And it's a great event. There's a live music after party with wine tastings and vendors. It's like a little wine festival afterwards. It's
We were going to do something like that a couple years ago, weren't we? Didn't we have some broadcast that we were going to do at like a 5K or something like that?
Oh, that was the wife carrying championships.
Oh, the wife carrying championships.
Oh.
That never happened. But I was at Three Brothers this summer, and you can see some of the obstacles there that you use in that race. There's a huge wall to scale. I mean, there's a bunch of different things, but it's unique, I think, in that you run through the vineyard, which is kind of cool.
We're the first of its kind. I mean, there's been lots of different running events through vineyards, but we were the first to come with an obstacle course, and our runners get free wine tastings and T-shirts and all different kinds of stuff.
Oh, that's
good
great.
stuff. And then we own a photo booth company too, so we do lots of different events. Party Hit Photo Booth, and so we're all around upstate New York doing that for graduation parties, weddings, things like that.
Oh, that's kind of nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that kind of like when you go to Roseland years ago before you were born? It used to be called Roseland Bar.
Yes.
Take a picture in the booth.
Yes,
all
exactly.
Right.
We have lots of fun props and stuff
I bet.
like that.
That sounds like fun. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, listen. Let's plug again sponsorships. Let's give them your email again one more time in case anyone would like to support you.
Yes, it's justlar11@gmail.com. Or you could find us on our website, which is mrsnewyorkamerica.com. It's NY. Or find us on Facebook. We'd love to... Mrs. New York America Pageant. We'd love to see you on Facebook.
And by the way, a good friend of yours and mine gave me your name to call you. Jaminette.
Yes. Oh, I can shout out Jaminette.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Jaminette, for helping.
Yes.
She's been an amazing supporter. She did a T-shirt booster, and a lot of people will be wearing Team New York T-shirts while I'm off at Mrs. America.
Well, she's a good friend of our family. She's excellent friends with my daughter, Sam, and we see her a lot at parties. And she sent me a note about you, and I followed up with it, and here you are.
Yes,
so,
thank you, GM.
Well, we'd like to have you. We'd like to have you come back after the next pageant.
Yes,
talk about your adventures.
Talk about your Mrs. USA championship.
There you go.
We'll see.
Never know. That's
You
right.
never know.
Well, listen, I
Thanks
appreciate
for having me.
I appreciate
Thanks
you
for
taking
coming.
time out. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
All right. Jess Lahr, and of course, this show will always be documented, and Jimmy may title it The Beauty and the Beast. And I
Doug,
don't
I
think
thought
this-
that was every week with me and you.
Well, yeah, usually it is, Jim. It usually is. But we had fun, and certainly Jessica's on the couch, interviewed by me this morning and with Jimmy, as a result of somebody writing in and giving us an email to me. And you certainly can come on this show. We urge you to take part. Next week, we hope to have Dennis Lahr, who's the acting general manager, the new general manager of the Seneca Falls Country Club. Believe it or not, even though we have snow on the ground, country clubs are going to open up April 1st. That's a normal starting date to open up clubs in the area. I know it's hard to think about golf right now with still snow out there, but believe it or not, Jim tells me it's going to break sooner or later.
I think about it every day. I just can't do it.
But anyways, Dennis Lahr is expected to be our guest next week, talk about his philosophy of what's going to be different down at the club this year. And by the way, before we sign off, speaking of Seneca Falls, since I'm a member and Jimmy's the president and obviously a member, $1,200, folks, is all it costs you plus 8% tax. That's $1,296. That includes your membership at Seneca Falls Country Club, an excellent venue, and a cart. You get a cart
Anytime you want.
all year long.
Right. It's the best deal.
It is a phenomenal deal. So if you're interested in golf, I was looking at my clubs just yesterday, cleaning them up a little bit, and folks, I'm psyched. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to take some of Brad Jones and John King's money. I cannot wait. So, for Jessica Lahr and the dog and Jimmy Senecropi, we all hope that you have a wonderful week, and thanks for joining us for another edition of Weber This Week, My Way.
Support great local content like this by becoming a patron of FingerLakes1.com. Visit patreon.com/FL1.
FingerLakes1.com. Come on and join